Welcome, bienvenidos to my great-great-grandfather's $7,000 ex-hoarder's house. I moved into this property 5 years ago, and I've spent the last several thousand hours of my free time picking up over 1 million pounds of scrap metal and clearing out the entire inside of the house. Upon completion of that project, I decided I was going to fully restore my great-great-grandfather's mansion. So I did one last tour around the house. I cleaned all my stuff out, and we got to work up in the attic. Unfortunately, birds lived up there for 30 years, so it smelled like an absolute rotten barn bird poopy mess. So we decided to rip out all the wood, suck out all the old insulation, and spray foam everything. Now we have an incredible amount of work that still needs to be done in the attic as well as upstairs, but the problem with the spray foam is we need to give it 24 hours to air out just to make sure all the harmful fumes are out of the house. That way we're not breathing it in. So in the meantime, we are downstairs today on the main floor. We are gonna be tackling this trim. So here's what we're gonna be working with. We have all original oak woodwork to the house. My great-great-grandmother and my great-grandmother would have done the staining inside of here. When they moved into the house in 1933, it was not finished yet, so they had to come in with Q-tips and get in all the fine little areas. We are gonna try to pull everything off, and then we're gonna label all the individual pieces for whatever room that they are inside of. We are gonna be taking out this wall, we're gonna be taking out this wall, we're gonna be taking out that wall, we're gonna be taking out this back wall over here. So we're gonna be doing a lot of different renovations through here. So we're gonna try to just have everything labeled and ready. If we can reuse it, we are going to, but if stuff doesn't fit once we get things moved, if things are gonna look weird and spliced, then we're not going to be able to. But we figured we'd rather have everything in the pile ready to go. If we need it, we can, but if we don't, we won't use it. We'll see. So we have our work cut out for us today. We have the parlor. This is my absolute favorite room down here. I like the big window, and then I like how everything sticks out here. You also have an awesome view of the grove. Then we got the living room with the beautiful chimney fireplace, even though all this is gonna be coming out into the dining room. Got the nice wood paneling all the way around. I do like this hutch. I would like to keep it. I don't know where we're gonna put it yet, but they just don't make them like that anymore. That thing's beautiful. Into the office, which Justin is already getting started.
Let's start with this room and move on to the next one and then to the next one. Justin started tearing down the next room, and how long do you think it's gonna take us to finish this one?
We should probably have it all tore apart in an hour, hour and a half.
Yeah, probably.
If Roman would get off the camera and start.
Hey, Roman has a job too.
Yeah.
What do you guys do?
Recycling nails here.
You gonna use those for your chicken coop?
Yeah. It's an L nail.
This is how I straighten them. You just lay them down on the wood and go, and just like that, as good as new.
After almost getting this job done, I'm finally getting tired of using the little pliers for big nails that are driven into oak. It gets the job done, but much longer. I don't care about the tougher part. I don't care about the tougher part.
The agony of having to work. Ooh, I'm Roman. I'm turning into lazy person.
Let's compare working hands here.
What, just because mine are smaller?
Yours are like baby hands. You must moisturize. These are man hands.
a dent into pulling the trim off, and then all of a sudden Justin's phone went off and it said blizzard warning, 10 inches of snow and 40-mile-an-hour winds incoming. So we decided to call it a day, and I'm glad we did, because look at what we got going on out there. Look at that snowdrift already. Yay! This is the second 10 inches of snow we've got since we started the house project, and the second set of 40-mile-an-hour winds. So I don't know if this is a sign or what, but we got a snowblower hooked up to the skid loader, so we're just gonna wait for this wind to die down. It's supposed to blow all day tomorrow as well, and then we'll just make a little path right over there. Justin lives along the way over to my house. So we're gonna get this thing done one way or another. Now that we're living down here at Mom and Dad's, this blizzard brings a lot of memories back of when I was a little boy and we didn't have to go to school because we had bad weather, it's snowing, winds blowing, we gotta go play out the snow, we gotta work with Dad in the shop. That was so much better than going to school. So I guess to bring back a little nostalgia today too, we're gonna go to the monkey bars that we installed in the basement when we were little, so that way we could practice our pull-ups, that way we could do better on the presidential fitness test. So we're gonna be doing 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 20 squats for 10 rounds. So that comes out to 50 pull-ups, 100 push-ups, 200 squats. I'm gonna be doing my pull-ups with my feet pointed out. It just engages my core a little more. Not necessary at all though, just makes it a little harder. And then for push-ups, if I want the easiest, I'll just go from my knees. If I want medium difficulty, I'll just go on my feet. And then if I want a little harder, I'm gonna put my feet up, which is what I'm gonna do. And then I just do my squats. That's 1 set down, 9 to go. For the past 2 days, it's been like negative 10 degrees, actual temperature with 40-mile-an-hour winds, so it felt like negative 40 degrees outside with the wind chill. It's currently negative 9 out right now, and we have like 15-mile-an-hour winds. It feels like negative 29 degrees, but we have sunshine, so I'm gonna try to plow the driveway. These drifts here are about halfway up the door, so we got a nice 5-foot drift here. Looks like a 5-foot deep snow drift through the middle of the driveway up by the gas barrels, and about a 4-foot deep drift in front of the main heated shop, kind of going out in front there. Gotta be careful right now. If you have a wet hand, it will freeze to any piece of metal. Little pro tip, if you set your shovel out in the cold and let it freeze, and when you scoop into the snow, your shovel won't be all heavy. And we got some crispy snow drifts. I should be sinking to my knee in this, but I'm not. Got a nice snow drift there. Probably gonna have to scoop the shop door out a little bit to get out. Before I fire up the diesel engine on this skid loader, I'm gonna put a little bit extra diesel additive. We do have a winter blend of diesel fuel in here right now. If you don't have a winter blend of diesel fuel in, the diesel fuel will actually like turn to jelly. It'll just gel right up, and then it freezes inside of your fuel line, and then fuel does not go through, and then your engine stops because it's not getting any more fuel. So we have what's called a winter blend, and then so it's supposed to lower the freezing point or lower the gelling point of diesel fuel. So instead of, let's say, 0 degrees, it may take it down to like negative 20 degrees. I got this additive stuff here I'm gonna add just as a little extra precaution. I would rather do this now than be out in the middle of a snowdrift, frozen, and trying to get it going there. Mom and Dad's, yeah, we were definitely not getting through that. That's about 2 feet deep right there. blown completely across, hard as a rock. Not going to lie, Dad's driveway took me a lot longer than I anticipated. It was like this deep, the entire area. It's kind of hard to tell it out there, but Dad's whole driveway plus up by the house and then halfway down the road, it's probably a solid acre. So an acre at 8 feet wide at 18 inches deep, that was a lot of snow. I'm extremely grateful for the snowblower because it took me 6 hours to do Mom and Dad's driveway with the snowblower. Without it, I don't even know how I would still be out there. I decided I was going to get my driveway opened up tonight too because Justin's want to get started early in the morning. So on the way over there, I touched up Justin's driveway, Randy's driveway, Jim's driveway, and then I did the main part of mine. The snow at Justin's house was intense. Look at his LP tank. It was completely buried. Took the snowblower up here, gouged around it a little bit so that way they can get to it. That's 5 feet of snow. Buenos dias, dobry ranok.
Dobry ranok. We're problem solving already. Have you woken up yet?
Did you guys survive the blizzard okay?
Yeah, I stayed here actually.
I see you drove the minivan.
Yeah, because none of the vehicles started.
Let's see how the attic made out during the blizzard in the extreme cold. It's still -9 degrees out right now. It actually does not feel bad in here, even though we don't have any insulation up here yet. They ran out the other day when they came out and sprayed. They have not came back yet. Well, because we had a blizzard. So the blizzard and the polar vortex took us out for a couple days. We've had ample time for it to air out here, so we don't have to worry about any of the chemicals in the air anymore. So we are going to be changing our work tune today. We're not going to be pulling off trim anymore. We are going to be working upstairs. More specifically, we're going to be working on the upstairs of upstairs. We're going to be pulling all these floor joists off of the ceiling, and we're going to be replacing them all. Pretty much every single board underneath the floor in the attic is twisted, warped, curved, bent. So where I'm sitting right now is a big low spot. We have a high spot in the center, and nothing is going to lay flat. So we have to replace every single board and then re-level the entire floor in order for us to set a floor up here. So that is what we are going to be working on today. And the reason why our floors are so bad up there is because when they built the house in 1917, they just kind of piece things together versus things actually supporting. For example, take a look at this wall. We just got done replacing a couple of the floor joists, so these bright ones are brand spanking new. The wall that they are supposed to be sitting on is this wall. Notice how much of a gap we have underneath of these boards. Now these are level. So we have 2 full shims worth of spacing underneath. So that means over time, this wall has settled down like that far. When this wall settled, the floor above it settled. And that's pretty much going on with every single wall upstairs. So I can only imagine what the floor downstairs looks like, because that may be the exact same situation. So while yes, this is not ideal from a pocketbook perspective, it is ideal from the perspective of we're gonna be starting completely fresh with this, and we know we are going to have everything built absolutely 100% correct the way it's supposed to be built, and we're gonna be able to redesign things and build it stronger the way it was supposed to be built way back when, so that way we won't have these problems ever again. We just got done ordering materials. They should be here in a little bit delivering them. We are going to be ripping this wall out, we're going to be ripping this wall out, and we're going to be ripping this wall out. Now this wall and this wall are load-bearing walls, meaning the ceiling above us is supported by these walls. These walls are literally holding the floor up. So when we pull these walls out, we have to put something back in place in order to keep the ceiling held up. That is what's called a header. So we got headers designed for going up here, up top. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna have a beam coming down here that goes into the outer wall, and then we'll have a big thick set of boards up here that's gonna be kind of like a bridge, and then we'll have another beam coming down that transfers down into the basement, and then that is what's going to hold the ceiling up. So that's how we're going to be able to get rid of these load-bearing walls.
Do you hear that rat? Hear that noise? What's that noise?
We're looking for Justin. There's a rat.
Mike's upstairs.
We've heard all that noise upstairs. Like,
Yeah, what was all
there was
that
a
noise?
There's a rat.
No, there wasn't.
big rat. Like
We're looking for Justin.
No.
he lived here since 1917.
Rat.
Yeah.
Justin the rat, making all the noise.
Were you guys jumping around up there?
We were trying to stomp on the rat.
Oh. Did you get in?
No, but we spooked him.
All we got is you. Well, for the scope of work, subtract everything that I just said we were going to do because we ordered the wood. They said it's not going to be here for 2 to 3 days. So we're downstairs again. We're going to try to pull off the trim on the ceiling.
Paul changes his mind like a woman.
I just noticed something kind of cool with this trim. I don't know if it's cool or not, but we have this bottom piece of trim, and then they have another piece of trim up here behind it. So from down below, you don't really see that. It just looks like one. When you get up in there, they got 2 pieces of trim. So I wonder why they did that. Either they didn't like the look of that, or they were trying to hide something maybe, or perhaps it was just truly designed where it had 2 layers of trim. Is there something in my eye?
Yeah, it's something big too.
How does that not hurt?
It doesn't?
No, it doesn't hurt at all. It just feels like there's something in my eye.
Just leave it there.
No, that was uncomfortable.
Safety glasses would probably.
Yeah, I just didn't think of anything falling in my eye while pulling trim off. We pretty much got the whole ceiling in the parlor down. We just got the trim board right along the edge to go. I made a couple interesting observations. The first one is this darker wood is what we would have had around the mirror and then along the bottom trim and around the doors and such. But then these lighter colors are what they ended up having up on the ceiling. So they must have used 2 different types of stain back in the day. You didn't really notice it being that drastic until you get them sitting side by side. It's a lot of shade difference. The other observation is everything was put together with this tongue and groove type pattern on the ceiling, so everything locks into itself. So in other words, if we do any changing of the shape of the rooms, which we are, we're not going to be able to use this because we're never going to get anything to match back up because it was made exactly for what's up there. We just thought these were flat pieces of wood and then they just had everything nailed in the front side, then you'd be able to just kind of plug and play anywhere you like. But this is throwing a wrench in the system. So those boards right there on the side are tied into that bottom board on that, and then it goes the exact same thing right here. So everything locks together completely, and then there's that inside trim piece that holds everything up top and kind of hides all the defects.
Other words, you cannot pull it off without breaking either the corner or the long side. It's all nailed together. I was even wondering how it's all nailed together and still being installed. They knew much more than I do.
I'm just amazed at how weak this wall is behind here. You just push a little bit at the pry bar, you see the whole thing just move.
What do you think it would be if you had drywall on it?
Like a rock. They call it sheetrock for a reason. Unfortunately, I think the unlevel floors down here are going to be a reality as well. Look at that ceiling. Look how much gap we got right there. And then there's nothing over there. Look at all that. Ooh, that's bad. And that one does it too. And this room has a completely different layout. We just have them all tongue and grooved like this on the side. The other ones were in this way, and these ones are on the bottom. So we think they assembled everything down on the ground and then just simply stuck it up to the ceiling inside of the little frame and then tacked it up. So now getting these out, good luck. And then also, if we want to change the shape of the room at all, everything has tight parameters of where it needs to go. So everything would have to line up exactly like this. But how we're going to get this apart without breaking these little tabs right here, I don't think we can do it. We now officially have all of the ceiling woodwork down, all of the downstairs woodwork down. The trim is completely gone. We just have the fireplace left, I guess, which this is all one piece apparently. So we should be able to just pull that little bolt out right there and then pull this completely off of the wall. I thought it was kind of funny. You look at this header board, look at the cobwebs up there. See how much they're blowing around in the wind? Yeah, we have quite the draft behind the walls in this house. This big mirror is set up the exact same way as the fireplace. It's just all one put together piece. Roman made the comment, it's amazing how much wood is around the windows and trimming the baseboards as well as up on the ceiling, because we have a pile there, we have a pile here, we have another pile in here, a pile there, and then a big pile in the den. We are now at the point where we're ready to demolish the interior walls of the house. Get all the plaster off, get all the lath down, that way we can look right through the studs and we can kind of see what we're working with. We just have one problem. See all the snow we have outside? You can't see it, but I can feel it, but it's also -4 degrees out right now. The dump truck, when it gets to about 10, it just doesn't like starting. And right now the dump truck is completely full of stuff that we had upstairs that we threw out, and down here we have an entire dump truck worth of plaster and lath on these walls, so we want to get the dump truck empty before we get started in here, so that way we can just tear this down, throw all this on the dump truck immediately, then we're not working around thousands and thousands of pounds of mess on the floor. So while we wait for the weather to shapen up, we still have our work cut out for us upstairs because we are going to get started pulling the floor, and you guys already have a lot done.
Yeah, we're good at destruction. This deconstruction.
Destruction.
Deconstruction.
Oh, who's that? We got snowmobiles.
Tearing up your yard.
What are you doing out there? These are oak hardwood floors, and what we're going to be doing is simply just pulling them up, and then beneath them we have this piece of paper. I don't know if this was like their vapor barrier back then or what, but underneath that we have the subfloor. So we want to get exposed down to the subfloor. We are going to have to be pulling this off too, but right now we're just going to be working on the hardwood floor. It's just pulling these up. They come up 2.5 inches at a time. The hardwood's not hard to tear up. It's just got about 6 nails in each piece of it. It's about 3/4 of an inch thick, and you just get your pry bar underneath and you pull it right out. It's tongue and groove, so everything kind of ties together. Now these floors are absolutely beautiful, or at least they have potential to be beautiful. These are completely original to the house, so they've been here for over 100 years. And look at the condition of that wood. See how the floor in the attic has a big warp right in the middle of it? Like you could fill that with water and it would be a swimming pool. Now unfortunately, the floor in the attic is not the only floor in the house that's all warped and twisted. The floor that we're standing on right now is in the exact same condition. This isn't the most easy thing in the world because we have to pull up 2 layers of floors in order to get down to our floor joists. So we have the hardwood floors up on the very top. This is the part that we walk on. And then beneath that we have what's called the subfloor, which is these boards that run at an angle. So when we hear a squeaky squeak in the floor, it's actually coming from the subfloor. Well, we have to pull these boards up too, so that way we can expose this floor just like the floor joists above us. So we should be looking down into the downstairs from right here once we have everything fully exposed.
Justin keeps destroying this place and it looks worse and worse and worse. Right, Justin?
No.
Well, it has to look worse in order to look better, right?
You gotta start somewhere.
This is how construction works. I needed to pull this last piece of flooring, which was held by the trim. So I started pulling the trim, was pulling up until here. This piece is held up by the window, so I need to remove that first. I wonder what else I'll have to remove just to get that flooring out. Cole started pulling this flooring here, but in order to remove it, we would have to start from that side because it pulls much easier It actually saves the planks because we might salvage it. So since he cannot pull from this side because of how the planks are, he cannot pull from there because of the pile. He moved to a different room. Can anything stop you, Cole, from doing something?
Well, I usually take a break at lunch. Justin and Roman have been absolutely kicking butt. They got the north room completely tore up. I am amazed at how much wood flooring is actually in these rooms. This is one room's worth of flooring. We got another room's worth of flooring over here. I mean, it makes sense, it covers the whole floor, but when you actually see it in a pile, it's just way more than you think. Not only do they have those two rooms done, they have the hallway completely done, they have this room completely done, they have Grandpa's old room on the corner completely done. We just have this one right inside here, just got a little bit to go. The only problem is we're running out of space. So this leads us to a bit of a problem. It makes me feel uncomfortable inside, kind of thinking about the different options we have with the floor. So, I mean, when it comes down to it, we have the option of reusing what we currently have, or we throw away what we currently have and then put in new. And I like one thing about one and I like one thing about the other, but there's one thing about each of them that I don't like. So let's start with what I like about the wood floors that we currently have. These are oak, they're 3/4 inches thick, and the wear plate on this thing is incredible. Like these floors, if we refinish the top and put them back then, they're gonna last another 100+ years. The other thing that I really like about these is they are original to the house. So we have sentimental attachment to these wooden floors, because these are the floors that my great-great-grandfather would have walked on, my great-grandfather, my grandfather, my dad, and me. So you just have an attachment to it because it's been here for so long. That's probably the biggest thing that's holding me up, is the fact that we have such a sentimental attachment to the floors. I know it sounds silly, but it's real. And then last but not least, there's just something about a wooden floor. A well-finished, sanded, stained wooden floor, it's just a thing of beauty. It is absolutely a piece of artwork, and I think that wooden floors in this house just sets it off. So this brings us to the cons. When we're ripping things up, now keep in mind, this floor is over 100 years old, so it's had a lot of time to sit in the sun. We've had just single pane windows for a long time where the suns came in and beat on it. It's definitely had some wear. So when we're pulling things up, some of them broke in half. So that means that when we go to put stuff back in, we are not gonna have enough of this original wood to cover the whole floor. See how this one's split right here? Completely, the whole thing. I mean, for example, just at a quick 2-second glance, this entire pile of wood right here is completely dry rotted. When we pulled them up, they split in half. This whole pile is no good anymore. The next thing is, these boards have taken the shape of the floor. So if we look at them this way, they're not all perfectly straight, and they're not all perfectly straight this way, and they're not all perfectly straight this way, and then some of them are also twisted. Now I understand that all of those things give characteristics to the floor and they make the floor what it is. It adds to the charm. But here's the thing, we're going to be spending a lot of money around the entire house and doing a ton of work. And the last thing that I want to do is put all this time, effort, energy, and money into everywhere else, and then we have a floor that looks like this. Another issue that we have to run every single one of these through a plane, so that way we take the top little bit off so we can get the old stain off the top, we can get any of the little micro scratches and stuff out. Before we can run it through a plane, we have to pull every single nail on all these boards. We have like 10,000 boards up here. There's 8 nails per board. That is an incredible amount of nails that need pulled. When we pull the nails out, we could also damage the board, which would make the board not good anymore. And then last but not least, I mean, that's an incredible amount of effort and time that's going to go into that. I don't have any of the equipment to do it, so I'm going to have to buy the equipment to do it. And then these boards are also tongue and groove. So on this side we have a tongue, on this side we have a groove. The ends are also the exact same way, so that locks the entire floor together. Some of those got damaged when we pulled them apart, so that's going to make those boards not good anymore. And then we're also going to be changing the shapes of the rooms up here. So when we have boards that were designed exactly for the shapes of the rooms and the hallways, when we change those things, now the boards don't match. So we're gonna have to cut and then somehow figure out how to make the ends look just like that, so that way the boards go together the way they're supposed to. Another factor about the hardwood that's not so great is the wearability of it. If we have things that get pulled across it, it scratches pretty easily, and if anything wet gets set on it, it can actually just ruin that particular spot, or it makes a big white soggy looking area that you have to sand out and then redo. Where compared to more modern floors, they're much more resistant to scratches, and some of them are highly water resistant or even waterproof. And clearly, since we have some boards that are damaged and we're not going to be able to reuse them, we're not going to have enough wood to be able to do for the entire house. So we are going to have areas that are going to have a different type of flooring butted up next to this existing hardwood floor if we choose to go that route. And that leads us into a fairly decent problem, which is how do we get the level of this floor to be the exact level of this floor without having a hump right here. This stuff's 3/4 inches thick. The new stuff that we'd get nowadays, it's like half this thick. And so I don't want weird transitions going from room to room. And then last but not least, I would like the floor to be uniform throughout the house. I don't want to go into this room and we have hardwood floor. And then we come out into the hallway, then we have a luxury vinyl planking. And then we go down the stairs and then we drop right to tile. And then on the other side of the tile, we go back to a hardwood floor. But it's different than this hardwood floor because we ran out of the stuff that we already have. I want things to be uniform and to make sense. So all the kitchens and bathrooms, they have a tile. And then everywhere else is a luxury vinyl planking, or everywhere else is our beautiful oak wooden floors. So with all those problems in mind, I think we came to a solution. In order to have a uniform look in the house, we're just simply not going to have enough of the existing hardwood floor that we have right now to cover all of the areas outside of the kitchen and the bathrooms. So we are going to be putting a more modern floor in the rest of the house, and the kitchens and bathrooms are going to get their tile or whatever we decide to do in a kitchen and bathroom. What I want to do with the wooden floors that we currently have is pick a room in the house and have kind of a historical room. So it will be everything completely original to the house, just fully restored in there, because in my mind right now, that's going to look the best, and honestly it's going to make the most sense. So this is where I could use a little bit of your help. We have two options. We can either do a floor, which I was kind of thinking in the attic, but once again that's a really big space. I don't think we're going to have enough wood to cover that area. Or we could do a wall. I'm really leaning towards doing a wall of some sort somewhere that we could use the wood on. I think that would look cool, and it would be a way to tie it in where it fits, and then the floors are all uniform to the house. It actually looks good. So if you have any ideas on how we could make this work, or if you have any ideas on a floor on how we could make it work and what would look good, I'd I'm all ears. This decision is not being made lightly. I'm putting a lot of thought into this. I've listened to my grandpa talk about the beautiful wooden floors in this house my entire life while he was alive. And there's a lot of sentimental connection to the floors. I know it sounds weird, but I respect my grandpa, and he really liked them. And so if my grandpa really liked something, like I think I have a little bit closer of a connection to it because of that. I'm just trying to do what makes absolute most sense for the house, what is going to look good for the rest of my life and actually make sense. And I'm also looking at the manpower and the abilities we have to do things. The last thing I want to do is get enough materials for 70% of a room, and then we're cobbling in the last 30% of it. And that's kind of my concern with just seeing the condition of some of these. Some of these are absolute great condition, but other ones, just the way they broke when they came apart and the dry rotting and everything else. Are we going to have enough? I don't know. And then the other thing is, it is just going to take an incredible amount of time. By the time we pull every single nail, we run everything through a planer, we inspect everything, we get things lined back up, so we'll see if they're straight or not. That's a massive time investment. Do we have the time to be able to do that? Like, we have a lot of other things in the house that need to be done. I'm normally not a big, like, we need to get this done right now. Like, we're being laid back with it, but at the same time, I don't want it to be a year from now. And we're still trying to get through processing all this wood. So that's what I'm predicating my decision off of. And this is not what I'm taking lightly, but I'm just trying to be as transparent as possible when it comes to the wood. I want to keep some somewhere, but everywhere I just don't think it's gonna work. We had a lot of jumping around today to different parts of the job that just needed to be done in order for us to do the next thing. Sometimes that is just how the cookie crumbles. We got an incredible amount done today, just getting the trim downstairs ripped out. That was a daunting task for me because it was slow, it was painstaking, and just a lot of little attention to detail. Now that we got the wooden floor ripped off up here, we can see the subfloor down below. We'll be able to see if things are level or not, if we need to rip some subfloor up and fix the floor joists so that way the whole floor is level. Then when we put our new floor down, everything lays the way it's supposed to. We have a lot of wood to get out of here. We have things to clean up. We're starting to get things more exposed now, and then actually get into the bones of what this project is going to be about and what needs to be fixed and how it needs to be rebuilt, which I am the absolute most excited about that. But we're pretty much tuckered out. So we're gonna go get some sleep and hit it again tomorrow. So thank you so much for watching. If you want to help support the project, head to cornstar.farm. The link is down below. Otherwise, type in cornstar.farm. It'll take you to our merch page if you want to pick something up to help support the project. Otherwise, that's all we got for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.